Hi everyone, it's Tom at Pancake Analytics. Glad you're here today. Today we're going to go over a Fortnite trading card analysis that I just developed. I'd like to add Fortnite trading cards to the forecast monthly updates, but first I wanted to do a more holistic overview. I will share the results of the model in this as well, but been working on this for a while now and glad to finally see it through fruition. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So this is going to be a Fortnite trading card analysis and outlook. That little outlook is going to be the Holt Winters model towards the end. So we're all gathered here today to discuss. What are we actually going to discuss? First, I'll do a little bit of an introduction. I'm anticipating there might be some new viewers, mainly Fortnite collectors or those interested in Fortnite collecting. So I'll give a little introduction to myself. Then we'll get into the beef of this, the Fortnite trading card analysis. Then we'll move on to the outlook. I actually predicted this one out to 2024. I'll explain why I predicted it that far out. Typically, I like to keep the prediction a little bit tighter, but there was some really true seasonality here and pretty steady growth. Then I'll wrap everything up, insights and takeaways, because I'm going to be going over a lot in this video. And then we'll wrap it up with my Fan Expo New Orleans appearance and a final confirmation on the panels and the times that I will be presenting. So, who are these two nerds anyway? Why are they here? There is two of us, especially when it comes to the panels. Hopefully, I can turn this more into a podcast type format where we'll be discussing more than just analytics, more of our experiences in collecting, playing video games, just love of all our fandoms. So, best way to get in touch with me is on Instagram, pancake_analytics. But in a nutshell, I'm really bringing my career expertise to the fandoms that I love the most. The goal is for people to learn analytics and data science through the lens of Pokemon, Marvel, DC, Harry Potter, Disney, trading cards, and video games. I do expand into other areas as well. I know that is a very unique range I just mentioned, but we do a little bit of everything. We also argue, rant about the same topics beyond analytics and data science, but really, I'm mostly just a fan. Now, beyond introductions, let's get into Fort Card trading cards analysis. So let's talk shiny cardboard, specifically Fortnite shiny cardboard. First, a little high-level overview. So during June 2019, Panini released the Series 1 set, which in my opinion has mostly flew under the radar since. There is a passionate collecting group that is out there. They're running podcasts, YouTube videos. One of the podcasts I interact with the most on Fortnite is Taking the High Ground. I will later on in this deck use them as a data source for building our segment of Fortnite cards. I'll go into more detail later on. One of the most noticeable sales happened during the larger trading card boom in February 2021. BGS 9.5 2019 Black Knight Cracked Ice Hollow sold for $55,000 in a private deal. That put a lot of eyes onto Fortnite trading cards in general, and you'll see that in the sales data. It shows up as well. So there really are more resources out there for collectors who are either trying to expand their Fortnite collecting experience or looking to begin their journey in Fortnite collecting. In this deck, I mentioned I leverage taking the high grounds top cards. So just an example of how you can also use what's already out there. And hopefully the analytics approaches I show you and the results will guide you towards your journey. So this analysis spans over $4.18 million in sales, and it's during a 2-year time period. So that equates to 2.6 thousand cards sold. That $4.18 million in card sales and 1.5 thousand card sellers. The data sources I'm using is eBay's Terapeak sales data, and I'm also taking at the time it was the top 25 Fortnite cards from Taking the High Ground, their podcast. They actually have a website called fortnitecards.com. I find there's a lot of really good resources on that site itself. A few that I found very helpful for completing this analysis was a timeline, so you kind of get up to speed with the history of Fortnite trading cards and collecting. They currently have the top 50 Fortnite trading cards out there, and they're transparent on how they selected these cards as well. So you should go check out their site if you're interested in Fortnite trading cards. So now we've had this data. I grabbed 2 years of it, aggregated it to monthly sales data. Here's what I'm seeing initially, right? Even though these Fortnite cards are down 2.33% in average sales per card sold, they would be the second best performing index. So before I go really into that, let me explain more of what's on the screen. To our left is what I like to call a sales tree. It works very well with any data that you can multiply back up into, right? So if we look all the way at the bottom, we multiply items sold per seller times sales per item sold, you'll get to sales per seller. There might be some rounding differences on the screen right now, but then if you take that sales per seller times it by the total amount of sellers, that should get you to total sales. And in this case, it is the total sales for Q4 2022. The percent differences is actually the 3-month change. So we'd be looking at Q4 2022 versus Q3 2022. To the right is the Cardladder indexes, and I looked at their 3-month percent change, which should be roughly comparable to the sales per item sold sell, which I've highlighted. And as you can see, Fortnite is down 2.33%. But if it was a Cardladder index, it would actually be your second highest performing index, with the exception of the outlier cards, which is actually up 3.36%. Right? So Fortnite currently right now is outperforming all the other categories. So despite an enormous increase in total cards graded, there's no correlation with an average price sold nor total items sold. So first off, I'm sourcing my data from Gem Rate, Terapeak again for the sales, and just as a reminder, it's the Taking the High Ground top 25 Fortnite cards. To the left side of the screen is the data from Gem Mint, and from what you can see is that there is a large increase in just the total amount of cards graded from the 2019 Panini Fortnite set. Actually, since September 24th, 2021, there have been over 4.7 times more total gems. And if we talk about just the total amount of cards graded, it's 4.9 times more just in total grades, right? So a large shift, more eyes, probably speculative buys, grading to flip, as we see in other categories. Our top graph is average price sold per item sold versus the monthly growth in total items graded, right? There's no really distinct correlation that I'm seeing. The bottom graph, we compare it to just the total items sold, right? Reasoning there is that it's pretty more than just graded cards are being sold, and it's hard to really distinguish from what's being graded. Okay, what's for PC versus what is being flipped. What is interesting is I took the percent of share of monthly sales that Black Knight, just that skin, right? So it's not just only the crystal shard, but all Black Knight cards from all of Fortnite that's being sold. I do see a slight correlation with the increase in graded population and the percent share of total card sales from Black Knight. So for the entirety of calendar year 2021, Black Knight was the majority of total card sales. Now the previous graph I showed the increase starting in September 24th, 2021 in total graded cards, how it starts to go up to where we are today. And if you notice, it almost correlates perfectly with the percent share decline for Black Knight. So that's where this began to shift in 2022, is where we really see the largest shift, even going as low as only 22% of total sales come from Black Knight cards during June of 2022. Now, I do want to say there's no evidence of this being a direct correlation, but I do think it's more than just of a coincidence that at the time you're seeing your largest increase in graded population, that its share of Black Knight market share is going down as well. We witness this across other categories, and this holds true for Fortnite as well, is that graded cards hold a premium. So other cards, although they're not sold as frequently as Black Knight is, their average price probably increased during this time period. Now, what's really interesting is that starting in Q4 2022, if you look at that October data point, right, it's gained 56% share of the market. So we even go as high as 60% in December. So it looks like Black Knight is going to be trending up again. Now I'd like to move on to the outlook, now that we have that holistic view on Fortnite trading cards. We have all this data, and so far I'm being very descriptive with it and diagnostic. What should we do next? When I discuss the types of analysis that exist out there, I like to segment into 4 categories. 1, descriptive analysis. 2, diagnostic analysis. 3, predictive analysis. And 4, prescriptive analysis. I want you to think of these 4 categories as an additive process. So you start with descriptive, you move up to diagnostic, then to predictive, and finally at prescriptive analysis. It's really my belief and my feeling that you cannot skip any of these steps to get to that big takeaway, give advice on what a collector should do. It is really industry best practice is to do the work, essentially. From what I see out there, just from other content creators and just social media in general, 90% of it is descriptive analysis. So we're talking about here's the top sales within a time period. Here's a percent change from 2 data points. Then I roughly see about like 5%. It's like diagnostic, which is really like the driver of like, okay, who bought the card? What did they evaluate it at? You mostly see this when there's large like golden sales lots coming to an end, or PWCC is where we really get into diagnostic, like what's going on behind the scenes. What are the drivers? Predictive analysis, I'd say it's less than 1%. There are individuals giving their opinions and takes on where markets can go. Rarely do you ever see, here's the data we have, let's forecast it out in a time series, such as the approach I'm about to show you here. And then that final stage, prescriptive analysis, about 4% and change, right? There is actually, in my opinion, more prescriptive analysis out there than there is predictive analysis. It's people telling you what are good buys, what are good sales, but not really basing it in data. So once again, do the work before you get to stage 4. So now that we have those 2 years of monthly aggregated data, we can learn and project the value of these cards. I'll be introducing an approach that I use for other trading card categories. It's a Holt Winters sales model for time series. So it works particularly well whenever sales data is seasonal, right? There's a seasonal aspect of it. So when we visualize our data, you'll see that there is a seasonal aspect to Fortnite trading cards. So I want you to think like, oh, is high sales or volumes, they happen over Christmas, etc., like that. So to make this really work, it's also known as triple exponential smoothing. So you need 3 elements. That's where the triple comes from. Seasonality, which is a repeating pattern. In the case of, do sales increase for holidays that I mentioned? A trend you need. So what is monthly change in sales? But typically a trend is a slope over time. And then you need some average typical value that is used to add value to recent sales, right? So that's why I really like the triple exponential Holt Winters time series approach, is that you can set your own weighting, your own parameters, and really base it on recency, right? So you're not holding yourself to data that's necessarily, very outdated, right? The whole zoom out the graph crowd. So this approach I already apply monthly to several trading card categories. And the intention here is to add Fortnite into the mix officially after this analysis is in production. So I've done it for basketball, Marvel, baseball, football, hockey, soccer, you name it. The mean average percent error is what our definition of success is here. So, which currently across all models stands from 1% to 6%. Anything below 10% is considered an excellent model. So, right now we're still in the excellent range. But how does Fortnite hold up? 2023 looks to be a strong Q1 for Fortnite cards, according to the model. But as we move more into 2024, it will come in levels, right? So 2023, it's predicting more eyes on Fortnite, more collectors, more cards available, more available for sale, possibly all the graded increases that we're seeing to drive up prices. And then around 2024, it thinks the lake will be overfished almost. We don't go to very below where we used to be, 2021, but we're getting closer there. So Our parameter for success, we're at 6% mean average percent error, so we're below 10%. We're in that excellent range. This model shows year over year January sales for 2023. We're going to be down 6%, but in February, you're going to see one of your strongest months. So year over year for February, it's predicting will be up 71%, right? So that's really that first red hump that you see on the screen. The red line is our forecast. The green line is the upper confidence bound, so kind of like your best case scenario. Usually I tend to prefer the lower confidence bound, right? As you can see, the blue line is the actual number, the lower is the yellow. For one of our months leading into Q4 2022, we're actually closer to that lower confidence bound. But towards the end of the year, we were directly on the forecast, that red line. So I just went through a lot of information. Let's go ahead and wrap it up. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. So all trading card categories are down over the past 3 months. Fortnite trading cards are performing better than almost all categories. With the exception of the Cardladder Outlier Index, which is named for exactly what it is. It's outliers, which would normally be bucketed into their indexes based off of their frequency of sales, their volumes, amount of sales, right? But the cards identified by the Trading High Ground podcast are the second best performing index. I'll say in quotations because it's not an index, it's really just a list. There's also no definitive proof of a direct correlation between pop count increases and average price sold, nor total cards sold. There seems to be a slight correlation with increases in pop count and the monthly percentage share of sales of Black Knight cards, right? As pop increases, his share goes down, is what the data is showing me. Now, I did want to mention, pop counts in general, just because I plan to, in this upcoming year, do a larger holistic view across all categories of the relationship with pop count and average price sold. Finally, the outlook for Fortnite cards looks pretty promising heading into 2023. The Holt Winter's Time series is expecting a correction coming towards the end of 2024. Now, we won't be as low as 2021 levels, as I showed earlier, but you are headed back in that direction. Hopefully you enjoyed that analysis. If you want to hear more analysis on trading cards, other fun Comic-Con discussions, I'll actually be appearing at a Comic-Con this week. So we're taking the show to the New Orleans Fans Expo. I'll be presenting and attending the New Orleans Fan Expo 2023. This is actually the first time I've been at this convention. This is the second year they've done this convention under the Fan Expo umbrella. It was formerly Wizard World. Dates and times are still subject to change, but the convention is from January 6th through January 8th, and the schedule is now published on their website and their mobile app, so I can speak about this. Saturday, January 7th, 2023, I will be presenting 3 panels. The first panel is a video game debate. The first half of the panel, you'll learn how to build a game recommendation model. We use propensity scoring to get to that. And then the second half, the real beef of the panel, is debating video games versus their IG reviews when they first came out. We have a lot of fun. Our second panel is going to be Avengers, analytics, and algorithms, and Marvel data discussion. I'll walk through an analogy of the Infinity Gauntlet and different analytics techniques that you can do. We'll analyze the MCU sales data. We'll also look at a fun way to rebalance the Marvel Universe using the Contest of Champions metadata and a Twitter poll. And then finally, we'll go into Marvel trading cards and its impact from the MCU. Is there an impact? Is there a correlation? And also highlight the forecast as well. Sunday is our last day. We wrap it up January 8th. And I'll be presenting the Princess Parks and Propensities Disney Data discussion. It's a really fun panel. Sorry, I skipped over the Pokemon panel. Let me go back to that really quick. The last panel on Saturday is the Pokemon TCG to the Moon panel. It's a holistic analysis on the Pokemon trading card market. Then on Sunday is our Disney data discussion panel, where we built a propensity score for the Disney universe. And we do the most logical thing with that. We have them battle in a Battle Dome scenario tournament. So that is what is on docket. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I'll see you at New Orleans Comic Con, Fan Expo. If you're in the area, hope to talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye.